I think it would take a few rounds.
Really?
But yeah. First of all, Jake is a lot bigger. Jake's a lot bigger.
But what weight would they fight
Well,
at?
I don't think Jake is getting anywhere lower than 205 pounds.
There's a few Americans, and this might be crazy, I think Jake Paul's got a chance. And I know that sounds crazy, but I do think that there are, where I don't believe anyone over here thinks this goes more than around 2 max.
Joe Rogan reacts.
Joe Rogan expresses amazement at Jake Paul's updated build before the Anthony Joshua bout, mentioning how intensely locked in and ready Jake appears. He mentions that Jake has battled legitimate opponents earlier, even if a few were close to retiring, and still committed himself to demanding preparation. Rogan says that Joshua approaching 40 shifts the feel of this contest, making the entire matchup more compelling. He mentions that he sincerely wants to see how this battle plays out.
It would be crazy. I like a little freak show every now and then.
I
as far as, like, would you like to see
I like
Jake
a
Paul,
lot of freak show.
Look, if Jake Paul wants to fight for the title, I would like to see him beat top contenders in the light heavyweight division or whatever division he chooses to compete at, and then eventually fight for a title. Yeah.
But are the fights even real? Like the Tyson fight? Like I saw video breakdowns of Tyson.
Jake Paul's newest physical overhaul has ignited strong reactions throughout the combat sports community. The brief clip spreading online highlights a fighter who appears sharper, thicker, and far better conditioned than in any of his previous training camps. His posture, the precision in his movements, and the confidence in his demeanor all suggest a man preparing for the biggest test of his career. With Anthony Joshua lined up as his next opponent, this updated version of Jake seems like a deliberate response to critics who once dismissed him as nothing more than entertainment. He now looks committed to proving that he deserves a place on a stage previously reserved for high-level professionals. Fans have pointed out just how dramatically his build has changed in a short period, indicating that this camp is built on genuine dedication rather than theatrics. Former world champion Andre Berto adds an interesting angle to the discussion. While he acknowledges that most viewers expect Anthony Joshua to deliver a decisive knockout, he argues that the matchup isn't as straightforward as it appears. Joshua hasn't had many memorable performances lately, and Berto suggests that this inconsistency makes the fight harder to predict. Meanwhile, Jake is backed by a seasoned team of coaches who are pushing him to fully capitalize on his youth, power, and conditioning. Berto's view is that although the public expects a clear outcome, the direction of the battle depends largely on which version of Joshua enters the ring. With Jake showing improvement and discipline, Berto believes this encounter genuinely has the potential to swing either way. Some analysts take a more practical approach when evaluating Jake Paul's preparation. They point specifically to his sparring sessions with heavyweight fighters and the shared advantages these exchanges create. For Jake, going up against bigger men exposes him to the level of power he could feel when facing Joshua. It forces him to deal with pressure, adjust his timing, and maintain control even when the punches come hard. For the heavyweights, however, the main reward is financial. Working with a high-profile name like Jake brings in far more money than an ordinary training camp would. These sparring rounds become a blend of education and solid earnings, creating a setup where everyone involved gains something meaningful. I'm not stupid. I know they're making plenty of money to be there, and for them it's easy work. But what exactly is in it for Lawrence Oakley, Frank Sanchez, Jared Anderson? Easy money. I don't know what he's paying those sparring partners, but to secure talent at that level, it has to be serious money. Lawrence has a fight coming up. If you're Joe Gallagher, would you send him to spar Jake Paul? Is that really useful? Absolutely not. Will he get a bit more visibility? Maybe his name gets mentioned. Does it help? Not really. I sparred with Kessler and got €500 for the week, and it was the hardest money I ever earned. How much did I learn? I got battered. So what exactly are they learning? I don't see it. I mean, I understand the money part, but if you have a fight on the horizon, does that sparring help you in any real way? Maybe it does. Maybe I'm undervaluing Jake Paul completely, but I'm finding it difficult to believe. It's tricky because, yes, Jake deserves credit for stepping up, But there's also a conflict here since Joshua used to manage him under 258 management. But surely those heavyweights are smashing him in sparring. Surely Jake's thinking, what the hell, this is awful. Any one of those three could destroy him in a single round. So, are they holding back?
You one of the first ones, and he gonna always take care of Burt. But then Floyd was as massive as he was.
Yeah.
So how you split? How you do that?
No, I mean one thing with Al's always gonna, he got loyalty to me. He got big loyalty to Floyd as well. Because they made so much money together. But it's funny how, he can say whatever he want to say. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how that, how the fight got. It kind of came about. But they had the Pacquiao and Floyd fight. We all go up there. We check the fight out. Good situation. And then just me and my lady, we walking through the casino. What's his name? Rodney Jerkins.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rodney Jerkins, big music producer. Y'all talk to him and ask him. Rodney Jerkins.
I've got so many thoughts. Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen introduce a different perspective, one that redirects the spotlight toward Anthony Joshua. They argue that Joshua must enter this fight fully conscious of what he stands for. To them, this isn't just about securing a win, it's about safeguarding the image of boxing itself. With Joshua competing on a massive platform like Netflix, millions of casual viewers will be watching, and many will judge the sport's strength based on his performance. Schaub and Callen stress that Joshua needs to approach this matchup as a declaration. He must step in with focus, discipline, and conviction, reminding the world why he is still one of the sport's leading figures. They insist that this cannot be a night for uncertainty or hesitation.
I know they're getting a lot of money to be there, and it's easy work. But what is in that for Lawrence Okoli, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson?
Easy money. I don't know how much he'll be paying sparring partners. I assume to get those caliber of sparring partners in, it's got to be big money.
Lawrence Okoli's got a fight coming up. If you're Joe Gallagher, you go spar Jake Paul, is that going to help you?
No, absolutely not. Are you going to get a bit of profile from it, perhaps? People are going to hear your name?
Yeah.
Does that help? I remember going to spar with Kessler, and I got £500 or euros for the week. It was the hardest money I've ever earned in my life.
But how much did you learn from?
Yeah, me, bundles.
Yeah. What's Okoli learn? I don't get it.
No.
I do get it, the money. But when you got a fight coming up, I'm thinking, really? Are you going to get anything out of that sparring that's going to help you in your fight? Maybe you are. Maybe I'm just completely diminishing Jake Paul's ability, but I'm struggling. I really am.
Fair play to Jake Paul.
And you're right, there's a bit of a conflict there because Joshua used to manage him.
Yeah, it was through 258, right?
Yeah. But surely they're smashing him to pieces. Surely Jake's going, oh, what the fuck? This is fucking horrible.
Every single one of those three fighters there could annihilate him in a round.
Yeah, so are they not doing?
Sports analyst Ade Oladipo widens the conversation by pointing out the adjustments Joshua has made in his training strategy. He explains that Joshua has evolved his approach, sharpened his timing, and is treating this matchup with absolute seriousness. At the same time, Oladipo argues that Jake isn't stepping in unprepared. Aware that Joshua is making changes, Jake has likely been making his own behind closed doors, testing a fresh approach, adding new tools, and tightening the finer details that might give him an advantage. Oladipo believes Jake understands that this moment requires the strongest version of himself. With both fighters reshaping their styles for this clash, Oladipo sees a real possibility that Jake could produce a moment that shocks the audience.
Again, if mentally he's not like, all right, I got a job to do, I'm representing boxing, a lot of American fans don't know me, this will be the most watched thing on fucking Netflix ever for sports-wise, so I got to make a good, showing. Hopefully he has that approach. I assume he does. Because he did with Francis, he was like, nah, bitch, the train stops here.
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury's a little more of a character. Hey, wow, what are we going to do? Let's move around a little bit.
I remember when he caught Klitschko with that uppercut, Anthony Joshua.
And he got caught. He got set down.
Klitschko, yes. And Klitschko is a big man. You're just dealing with literally a different ecosystem, man.
But that's what makes it, that's why it's a brilliant move by Jake. Because his fan base is like, oh my God, Jake, it's David versus Goliath,
yes.
Literally. It's this YouTuber Disney kid. Look how far he's come. He's actually going to do it. What if he wins? So there's that demo of his. And then there's the rest of the world who go, and they're so off on this, but they go, we got to get Jake Paul out of boxing. I can't wait to see his head get knocked off by Anthony Joshua. And that's the majority, right? So those two worlds mix, and you get the most watched boxing match on Netflix ever. More so than Mike Tyson at fucking 77 in a fake sparring match. This, you know? So if you're Jake, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so let's go through it. Let's say Jake gets knocked out 1 minute.
On Boxing Scene today, commentators described this matchup as one of the most daring choices Jake Paul has ever made. They noted that he could have selected softer opponents and padded his resume at a steady pace. Instead, he chose to face a former heavyweight champion recognized globally for devastating power and high-level skill. This move exposes him to massive danger, yet also presents extraordinary upside. If Jake puts on a strong showing, even in a loss, public perception shifts permanently. If he wins, the entire boxing picture changes. These experts emphasize that Jake's decision to take on such a risky challenge reflects just how serious he is about securing a legitimate place in the sport.
Now training with that camp. And I mean, if you are Jake Paul, I mean, shit just got even more real. So AJ's taking it that serious. He's now training with the Usyk camp, not just for your fight, but for fights going forward. This isn't AJ saying, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna train myself. Just get in shape and maybe just train with my amateur coach. This is AJ saying, no, we're gonna train with Usyk's team. And I'm basically meaning, or I'm saying, I'm gonna get in the best shape of my life. You want me to get down to 245 pounds? No problem. We've done that before, and that was one of my best performances before. Obviously, I'm talking about AJ versus Usyk too. So, yeah, I still can't believe it's happening, but it is happening. It will do incredible numbers. I've said that I think it will do numbers as big as Canelo Crawford. Some people have laughed at that. Don't laugh. Honestly, because Canelo Crawford over here, it would have been a small, minute percentage of people that would have watched it on Netflix over here. AJ fighting over here, everyone's watching it. Everyone's watching it. Everyone's watching it in Africa because that's the impact AJ has. And obviously everyone's going to be watching it in America because of Jake Paul. And then because of how that photo looked. Again, David versus Goliath. People are now way more intrigued than they were for Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. So, yeah, I'm intrigued as to how it looks in the first 20 seconds. And then I'll be able to just make my mind up as to how long this goes. But I will still stand firm and say AJ should, not will, should get rid of Jake Paul in one round. Should. And if he doesn't, then I don't know what that means.
Sean Jones, the analyst, examines the promotional strategy driving Jake's career. He notes that Jake deliberately leans into the YouTuber fighting Anthony Joshua narrative because it attracts curiosity and fuels the storyline. Yet behind that public persona, Jake is no longer the unpolished beginner people once dismissed. He has faced multiple credible opponents, developed a disciplined training routine, and transformed himself into a genuine professional athlete. These analysts argue that Jake continues to highlight the entertainer image on purpose, knowing it grabs attention and boosts audience engagement. But the foundation of who he is has changed. The man getting ready for Joshua is no longer just an internet figure. He is a serious boxer with real, measurable ability.
Listen, Joshua's done this already. He fought a guy that he was supposed to destroy, right? And then he went out there and he destroyed him. And he didn't play with his food. Yep. He didn't say, okay, it was Ngannou I'm talking about, obviously. Of course. Who gave Tyson Fury fits and really had everyone questioning Tyson Fury's ability because he struggled with an MMA fighter in his pro boxing debut. Anthony Joshua didn't do that. He went out there and did what we all expected Tyson Fury to do and completely wiped the floor with the guy. And if Joshua doesn't do that this fight, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's going to hurt his stock. It's going to hurt the way that people perceive him moving forward. And also, I think, honestly, and if he doesn't go out there and just lay into Jake Paul and end it in the first, if not second round, to me, it's gonna look fishy to me. It's gonna look like this was a setup, this was an exhibition, this wasn't a real fight. If this is a real fight, it should be over in 90 seconds because Anthony Joshua is a legit gold medalist, super heavyweight, crazy athlete, awesome power, and Jake Paul just isn't on that level in any way. And he's not in end. He's undersized. You know, Jake Paul was fighting a cruiserweight in his last fight. He was under 200 pounds. You know, Joshua is a legit 250 pounds with abs, and the guy punches with the right hand like a cannon.
The one advantage Jake Paul has had in previous fights, and we all know people who have worked with him, and they go, he's got natural power. He can hit pretty well for his size. Not elite, right? Not world champion, but he can hit pretty well for his size. Paulie, that one advantage that he's had in previous fights is completely gone in this one. Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, I still think Jake can hit a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, he may be able, if you hit Joshua on the chin, you can hurt him. But that's been what if Mike Tyson?
You gotta
lands,
get there, Chad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What if Mike Tyson lands on Jake? What if Arturo Gatti would have hit Floyd Mayweather? I can remember that argument back 20 years ago. The what if he hits him on the chin?
Combat analyst Luke Thomas breaks down the matchup with sharp technical insight. He emphasizes that Joshua isn't just a massive physical force. He's an exceptionally skilled and experienced fighter. His ring IQ allows him to recognize patterns early, predict his opponent's intentions, and apply controlled, strategic pressure. Thomas highlights that Joshua's biggest weapon is his intelligence. He systematically breaks down opponents by managing distance, timing precise counters, and creating openings through forced mistakes. In his view, Jake won't just be facing raw power. He'll be dealing with a calculated, tactical heavyweight who has spent years at the top tier of the sport. For Jake to stay competitive, he must remain disciplined, avoid wild exchanges, and fight with deliberate, measured patience.
Bill positions himself as a YouTuber, as a Disney star. I'm just a YouTuber, guys, and I'm going up against Anthony Joshua. All the cards are stacked against me, and I think people still buy into that narrative. Jake Paul is a bad boxer. He can't box. When I've seen pretty notable boxers say, look, Jake Paul is decent. I've seen a few people on my last video saying, how dare you say Jake Paul is a decent boxer? You've got to remember, when I say Jake Paul is decent, I'm not talking about within the context of being a world champion. I'm just talking about he's learned to box pretty okay, better than most people. He has actually beaten a couple pro boxers. Now, I know once again we have the caveat that, the last pro boxer he fought wasn't a full-time boxer, hadn't fought in a couple of years, and his last 2 fights were losses. I get it, but he has still fought like 2 or 3 pro boxers, so he can box, but there are different levels to being able to box. Everyone can box, it's just to what level. Jake Paul has been doing this since, was it 2018, his first fight, or 2019? We're going into 2026. It's like 6 years, 7 years. He's been training consistently with a good team. How do you Jake Paul haters not understand that? Even you, if you trained for that long and you've got millions of dollars sparring pro fighters in your fight camps, you're going to get pretty decent. Oh my God, it's not hard to understand. Try and drop the narrative that I hate Jake Paul so much, he's this, he's that, he's a knobhead, he can't box. Yeah, he might be a knobhead, he might be a divvy, but he can box. But I'm not saying he can box to the level of Joshua. Fucking hell, listen to the friggin' context, will yous?
Little Josh is signed to my enemy.
Michael Bisping brings an entertainment-focused angle to the discussion. He notes that many critics dismiss the matchup, arguing the skill gap is simply too big. But he also points out that this exact controversy is what will drive massive viewership. Just like the Tyson versus Jake event, heavily criticized yet record-breaking, people will tune in regardless. Bisping believes the same formula will apply here: curiosity, debate, and sheer spectacle. Fans will want to see whether Jake can truly share the ring with someone as proven as Joshua. In his view, the public won't be able to resist watching how the story unfolds.
For that weight class, Anthony Joshua is a gigantic 6'6" heavyweight. Now, he is coming off of a devastating KO loss himself to another big heavyweight named Daniel Dubois. This was a big show. But Jake Paul, while, has a decent pop for a guy who has not been doing boxing that long, it's almost incomprehensible. This is the kind of thing the state would never have regulated before. They now seem much more open to it than they ever once were. But I also think that there might be something happening, and this is, I'm speculating, I want to be clear, I'm not giving you skinny, but I don't understand how you can go from a bout with a guy that you are massively oversized against, who's very good, to one who you are massively undersized against, who's also very good, who's a devastating, dangerous puncher. It's like, Does he owe Netflix something? Is he feeling the heat to produce for them because the Gervonta fight kind of fizzled out for all the reasons that it did? I honestly don't know, but I'm not even doing a bit here. I'm like legitimately concerned for his health. Like,
it looks like Rocky's facing off Ivan Drago. When you look at their pictures standing, it looks like something that's cinematic that you'd be like, that would never happen in boxing.
Right. Or honestly, maybe even a little bit worse than that, just in terms of the size of Anthony Joshua. I want to make a caveat. I've been covering this industry for so long that I've just seen so many crazy things happen that, yes, we cannot rule out the possibility that Jake Paul could win here. Again, he's got a little bit of pop, and Anthony Joshua is coming off of a devastating KO loss. But the difference in ability and the difference in accomplishment and the difference in size and the difference in what they've shown is so enormous that I'm honestly shocked.
Michael Bisping adds a perspective rooted in entertainment value. He acknowledges that many critics dislike the matchup, believing the skill levels are too far apart. Yet he points out that this very controversy will fuel massive viewership. He compares it to the Tyson versus Jake event, where, despite widespread criticism, the numbers were enormous and people tuned in anyway. Bisping expects this fight to follow the same pattern. The combination of curiosity, debate, and spectacle will draw viewers who want to see whether Jake can actually stand in the ring with someone as established as Joshua. In Bisping's view, the public will not be able to resist watching how it plays out.
Exhibition matches, right? The whole idea of it is that it's an exhibition, right? For the Jake Paul fans, for the Anthony Joshua fans, so everyone can tune into Netflix and it will be a spectacle, just like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, right? That was a farce, it was a spectacle, but it was one of the most watched sporting events that year. Maybe of all time, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but a lot of people tuned in to watch that, okay? And that was an exhibition, and that's what this will probably be. I mean, it's like Thunder Lips versus Rocky back in the day. Remember Thunder Lips, played by Hulk Hogan?
Thunder Lips is here. In the flesh, baby.
Oh my God. Right? He goes up against Rocky Balboa. Rocky 3, by the way. Love the Rocky movies. Some of the best boxing films of all time. And what happens? Thunder Lips is going absolutely mental in the ring, okay? He's trying to kill Rocky Balboa. Picks him up, throws him out the ring. Rocky gets in there having a good old-fashioned tear-up. And then at the end of it, Thunder Lips wants a picture because it was all bullshit. Okay, it was all an exhibition. It was all for the fans, okay?
While you're still calm, can we get that Polaroid together? Yeah, sure.
And that's all this is, okay? Granted, I don't know. Maybe they come out and they say, oh, no, this is legit. This is a real sanctioned heavyweight boxing matchup. I don't think they will. But if they do, I'll still call #1 goddamn